Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody all over the world, and welcome to another video. My name is Alex, and today we're going to talk about street photography. So in this video, we're going to cover the most popular types of street photography, ethics when it comes to shooting photos in the street, and the gear that you might need. Now, without further ado, let's begin with the first style, which is the unobtrusive or standard style. This style refers to the photos that were taken by the photographer without intruding into the personal space of the subject. You're basically an observer that documents how life unfolds in front of your eyes and in front of your camera. And if you can manage to stay completely unnoticed, you'll be able to capture beautiful, candid photos that have a message or a story behind it. Now, the second style on the list is the intrusive style, which is obviously the opposite of the unobtrusive one, and as the name implies, is one of the most aggressive, in-your-face type of street photography styles. You can get stunning images with this style by capturing unique reactions of people, especially their facial expressions, but the consequences that come with this style are not worth it, in the long run at least. I mean, you can get an awesome photo of someone's shocked expression, but you might also get punched in the face for that. So if you want to be in the middle of the action, start practicing your dodging skills. Now, the third style on this list is the RAW style. And to not be confused with the file type RAW, as in RAW and JPEG, this style has no ethics, no boundaries, no regards for rules of composition, light, shadow, and so on. Not even editing. It's a style where everything goes, where everything is allowed, and you capture life as it is, even if you put the subject at a disadvantage. Think of it simply as a reality check style where you capture both the good and bad in life. An example I can give you here is if you take photos after an explosion or a catastrophe that has happened in the environment you live in. You go out there, take photos, and no editing is done. You capture what you capture and you display how life has unfolded after that event. Now, number 4 on the list is the geometric style. Now, as the name implies, this style focuses on geometric lines, shapes, harsh shadows, and lines that are mostly created by human-made structures and architecture in general. Humans are the main subject in this style, but if you wait long enough for a human to enter your frame, you will get that balance of natural element in an artificial environment, and it does give a different feeling than just shooting architecture. But the main focus of the geometric style is harsh shadows, harsh light, architecture, and interior or exterior design. And number 5 on the list is portraits, which is again self-explanatory. You take staged portraits or candid portraits, be it on a balcony, in a house, in a restaurant, on the streets, in a park, everywhere where the environment is not under your control. Otherwise, it will be considered a studio work where you have the environment under control, and it will not be considered a street portrait. Now for the second topic on the list, ethics. A straightforward explanation for ethics would be read the rules and regulations and laws of your country, find out what is defined as public domain space in your city, and be mindful of your environment. Simply because you might find yourself walking through a, let's say, office building campus, which has a public access for ease of traffic, but the moment you take your phone out or your camera to take a photo of the buildings, security will approach you, asking you to delete a photo and leave immediately. And then you're left wondering, why was I requested to delete my photo and leave since everybody can walk through that space? Well, to answer that, it's very simple. Sometimes the government requires private spaces to have a limited public access for ease of traffic in certain busy areas of a city. And another point here regarding being mindful of your environment. For example, I live in a tourist city, which also has its historical parts well preserved, and that's basically the main attraction of this tourist city I live in. Now, knowing that, I can go to the old town of my city, take photos with my camera or my phone, and people will not ask so many questions, maybe no questions at all, because that part is, again, a tourist attraction and everybody's used to having a phone or camera out and taking photos. Now, if I go there and simply start taking photos of a restaurant or a pub or whatever I find there, like specifically take photos of that place, then the owner might come out and ask me, what am I doing? Why am I shooting the photos? What's the purpose behind them, and so on. So get to know your city really, really well. Get to know which parts are real public space and which are limited public spaces. Get to know at what time of the day there is traffic or no traffic in certain areas, and plan your route accordingly, and you'll probably have no issues at all. So as a conclusion to ethics, be mindful of your environment and smart. Read the laws and regulations of your city and country, and be safe out there while you take photos, because you don't want to end up wandering in an area that might look okay, but it's actually the ghetto of your city, and you won't walk out with your camera or your clothes on. Now on to the most favorite and hated topic of them all, gear. Nowadays, gear is so advanced that even a budget phone has a good camera. Not great, but good camera, especially if you shoot photos for social media. So when it comes to street photography gear, generally every photographer would go for a compact body and a small lens, simply because walking for several hours puts a stress on your arm and on your back if you're carrying heavy and a lot of gear. Also, depending on the style you chose to practice, do your research on the gear you need for that style. For example, if you want to practice portrait style of street photography, so street portraits, you won't go for a 12mm lens because it will distort the face too much. So you will gravitate more towards a 35mm or a 50mm lens. But if you choose the unobtrusive documentary style, you can go for a phone, for a Polaroid camera, disposable camera, ultra wide angle lenses, fisheye lenses, and the list goes on. So choose the style you want to practice, and according to that style, choose the gear you actually need. Now, there is no law or rule to what gear to use. If you want to be that guy who is shooting street photography with a cinema camera and a super telephoto zoom lens, then be that guy or girl. But just don't waste money on things you don't need. I personally use 3 lenses for street photography: a 32mm lens f1.4 and a 24 1.4 as my prime lenses, and also these 2 lenses being at f1.4, they help me with low light or evening shots, and the third lens is a all-around 24 to 70mm lens f2.8. Most of the time the 24 to 70 is present on my camera for probably 90% of the time I shoot street photography, simply because it's one of the most versatile focal lengths for a zoom lens. I love shooting wide, but there are certain situations where there is something I want to take a photo of and I cannot get into that place, but I can zoom in. So having that extra reach of the 70mm end is really helpful. So as a conclusion to gear, pick the style you want to practice and do the research for the gear you need. Like I said, you can start with a smartphone all the way up to a cinema camera if that cinema camera allows you to shoot still photos, or at least capture frames from the video. Now, with all that being said, if you have further questions regarding street photography, please drop a comment and I'll do my best to answer them. Also, if you've loved this type of conversation video, drop a comment and let me know. I might do this type in the future with other topics of photography or videography. So until next time, make sure to subscribe to this channel and ring the notification bell so you don't miss future videos about editing, photography, and videography. Also, don't forget to like this video, it helps a lot. And yep, that's pretty much it for me. Until next time, take care.